gorgeous. And then there's Tatiana. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. So today, as you can guess by the title, we are going to pick up Tatiana from the dealership. That's my 2012 Ducati 848. And it's been with Ducati Winchester for about a month now. Reason being is I had dropped it off right before I went up back to Massachusetts, go home, visit family, friends, do some military stuff, and just kind of stuff like that. So I was gone for about 3 weeks. Just got back on Monday. It's now Thursday, and we were heading up to the dealership to pick it up. So it's at the dealership right now. I was doing the 7,500 mile service. We're actually just gonna go meet with my buddy Ian, take the 2-hour ride up to Ducati Winchester, pick up the bikes, and also rumor is there's gonna be a couple demo bikes there as well for us to try out. So fingers crossed I get to try out the 959 Panigale. We'll see though. They have pretty much every model as a demo bike right now. So lots of exciting things are going to be going on in this video. As far as the demo bikes and everything like that, I'm going to leave that for another video. So make sure you check out that link in the description below. I'll make sure I post that. That's going to be more of a review of the bikes. So other than that, guys, I'm going to head to lunch and I'm going to go pick up Ian. And we're going to make our trip up north. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So we finally made it here to Ducati Winchester. Go pick up the bike here with Ian. Nice long 2-hour ride. I think we've gotten to know each other pretty well now. So we're gonna go see now if we can go pick up my bike, of course, and then hopefully hop on for a test ride. How's it going? All right, guys, so we got the parts with us today, all the old parts. We got the old belts, the old filter, which you can see is very, very dirty. So we actually replaced that with a upgraded filter, race filter. It was the, let's see, where is it? Right there, BMC air filter. So we replaced it with the BMC, got rid of the stock one, old belts, old plugs, and that's the laundry list of everything that's done. Grand total, yeah. So that was the total, but you know what? They did a lot of work, so I can't complain. Here she is, all serviced. Oh, dirty. You're gonna need a bath when you get home. Yikes. Oh yeah, major bath. All right, guys, so we finally made it to Duc Pond Racing in Winchester. And so I'm going to go over with the owner, Donny. We'll go over the bike real quick. We have it up on the lift. And we're just going to go over what exactly was performed with the service and everything like that, and just things that he found and all that sort of stuff. Donny, the owner of Duc Pond Racing, and we're just going to go over what was done to the 848.
When we do a full service on an 848, 1098, 1198, the full service basically starts with the tank comes off, bodywork comes off, oil filter comes out. We check the pre-screen, pull the pre-screen on it, and check it for particulate, and then the rest of that, and that's where we start. And at that point in time, we go in and we'll pull the radiator, we'll pull all the oil, all the fluids out of it, and that gives us a good look at what's going on. We'll test the coolant. Most of the time when we do a full service, the coolant gets replaced. We'll put the oil back in, put the filter back in, check the once we finish with the pre-filter screen, we'll put that back in and seal the bottom, and then we'll take the belt covers off, battery comes out, and then once the belt covers come off, we'll take the belts off, and at that point in time, we pull the valve covers. We got to pull the radiator to get to the front valve cover. So we'll do that, and at that point in time we can check the valve clearances. There's quite a lot more that's done on a full service than just the valves, but that's where we start. Is check the valves, make sure the valves, if they're not in spec, change the shims out that need to be changed. Put them back in, measure them again. You always measure them twice. Check to make sure they're in spec. On our work tickets, every valve clearance and spec it is done and changed. Every shim is changed, is written down. The spec numbers are on the back of the worksheets. So we always have a record of what was changed in the motor. Once we put that back together, brand new belts go on. Belts are tensioned to 110 hertz. We use an electronic hertz gauge to put those back on. Then we put the belt covers back on, put the radiator back on, put basically the motor part of it back together. At that point, after that's all back together, we go to the front end. We pull the front forks down. We pull the front forks off. We change the fluid in the front forks. We grease the steering head. We check the steering head bearings to make sure the steering head bearings are good. We'll pull the front wheel because we already have the front wheel off when we pull the forks. Put the front wheel. If we're not putting new tires on, pull the front wheel, put that in the balance stand, and always check the bearings. Make sure the bearings are good. Once we get finished with the fork oil, the forks will go back on, wheel will go back on, the fender goes back on, brakes go back on. We'll bleed the front brakes, and then we'll bleed and flush the clutch fluid, put new clutch fluid in it. Once we get finished with that part of the front end, then we go to the back end of the bike, and at that point in time, the back end of the bike, we actually pull the rear wheel. We actually bleed and usually flush the rear brake fluid, just because it's faster and easier to do it that way. Because to bleed it out correctly, we actually take a caliper, turn it, and put it on the top side, and it lets us flush and bleed it out, and get the banjo bolt and the bleeder at the top, and lets us push the air out of the back and bleed the system out really well. Then we put the rear caliper, just leave it hang at that point in time. Then on the chain side, to pull the rear hub out, we actually have to undo the nut on this side also. Take the eccentric, loosen it, and turn it forward, and at that point in time we'll pull the carrier off, slide the hub out the other side since the wheel's already off, and then we will check the bearings that are in the rear hub. We will grease that rear hub. We will grease the bearings so we can actually get our fingers to, because some of them are actually sealed. Portions of them you can't actually get to them. Once that is all done and we grease the hub, the reason we take the hub out and grease the outside because it is the eccentric hub sits in an aluminum swing arm and it's an aluminum hub, and the hub is eccentric. We put a thin layer of grease on that hub because what happens, condensation and water gets in there, and then you have basically aluminum to aluminum, and sometimes you'll want to freeze, especially if the bike sees a lot of water. It does have a drain hole in the bottom of it, so water is supposed to seep out of it, but we always make sure there's a light coating of grease on the hub. Put that back together, and then once we put that back together, we will actually clean the chain, inspect the chain, tension it correctly based on the spec. Each one of the specs for every model is different. We'll tension that, and we'll put the rear wheel back on and torque both nuts on both sides once the rear wheel's back on. And at that point in time, the major work is done. The big work is done. Then we'll, at that point in time, go back and we'll start checking all the nuts and bolts and miscellaneous fasteners, all your control bolts, everything that we can lay a fastener or a wrench onto, we will go through and check. We'll actually, most of the time we don't pull the rear shock unless we see a weeping problem on the shaft. You know, what we do is we'll look right down here. If you see any moisture on the shaft down here, you'll know that we have a head seal gone. And at that point in time, the shock will come out. Most of the time on your regular scheduled services, unless it's an 18 to a 24,000 mile service, the rear shock won't come out. Front forks, almost every time we do a major service, we pull the forks and at least change the fluid in the forks. But nutting and bolting this thing is pretty straightforward. We nut and bolt everything, and we nut and bolt everything before the fairings go back on. Typically, the nose doesn't have to come off on the service of this model. Some of the models, the nose comes off no matter what. Once the bike is back together, without the body work on it, battery goes back in. We will truly hook the computers up to it, do a diagnostic check at the end to make sure there's no error code showing. If there's any error codes, we'll record those at that point in time and find out why the error codes were there, with their storage or their memory, or if it's an active one, then we're going searching for what something may be wrong. The bikes are literally, before we ever tear them apart, they're always started and ran just to make sure the bikes, there's no errors in the beginning, but at the end we hook the computers back up to it and run through the entire bike, front to back, make sure the bike's running correctly. If any tuning needs to be done, any updates need to be done, make sure the oxygen sensors, if it's still got operational oxygen sensors, are working. And at that point, we put the bodywork back on after that's all done, and then we test ride it. Bring it back in. If everything's good, we're done. If it's not good, it'll go back up on the bench, computers get back hooked up to it, we'll be back to check and see what we're, maybe something we didn't catch in service or something that is actively wrong that we just missed. And I'll be honest, we're all human. We'll miss things once in a while. But always the bikes are checked again after the test ride. That is basically 6 to 8 hours of work on this unit, on this 848. Some of the other bikes, Multistradas, that time is even longer because of even more stuff on the Multistradas that have to come off. But the 848, 1098, 1198 bikes are pretty easy to service. These bikes were still built in the day and designed in the day. This was a race bike. So Ducati built this bike to be worked on. And to be able to take it apart and put it back together pretty simple. But that's basically it.
Awesome. Thank you, Donny, for explaining all that.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Duc Pond Motorsports and Ducati Winchester. Thanks, guys.
Wow. Man, does it feel good to have this bike back. Oh my God. Oh, it's so weird. So I've been test driving a bunch of the demo bikes, and it feels so tiny and so small. The handlebars just everything feels so small and close, and it's really awkward to be sitting on right now. Go park next to Skylar. Alright guys, what an insane, amazing day. So unfortunately my camera ended up dying, like right as soon as I pulled off from the dealership. It just ended up dying. So didn't get to catch kind of the ride back and like just the recap of the entire day. So I just wanted to go over that real quick. So as you can see, she's back in the garage, back on her stands. I need to give her a good wipe down. She's very dirty. I use my special spray for that and everything. But anyways, just kind of recap the day real quick. So went up to Ducati Winchester, got to test drive 4 demo bikes, which was awesome. Fortunately, I did not get to test drive the Panigale, but from what my friend told me, it wasn't all that. So what I ended up doing, the xDiavel and the Hypermotard and the Multistrada 1200 Enduro, and the last one was the Monster. I got to do the Monster as well. So I'll make sure that I post those reviews. I did a review on each bike, and those are all going to be separate videos, so I'll make sure I post those below. But just wanted to give you guys an update. Bike is back, and she's bad, she's mean. So lots more to come as far as modifications and carbon fiber, and I actually have a ECU that's going to be coming in soon for the bike as well. Also stay tuned, definitely have some future videos with reviews, including my roommate's bike, Harley. Yeah, I know. Keep an eye out for that. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, guys. Have any comments or questions about the service or anything like that, just comment below, and I'll do my best to answer the questions the best I can. And I can kind of go over the list of what was done, but hopefully Donny up there at Ducati Winchester kind of covered it all in this video. I mean, they're very thorough when it comes to doing the checks. Very happy with them. The team is awesome up there. Really took care of me, and they also took the time to like go out with us on the bikes and everything like that, which that was really cool too, to just let us come off the street and just go test drive some bikes. So definitely great people, great staff. Everybody's very helpful. Everybody's very nice. So very happy with that. But other than that, guys, Tatiana and I are going to get out of here. And I'm going to wipe her down and cover her up. And I'm going to bed. It's been a long day. So thank you all so very much for watching. And I hope you found this video informational, helpful, funny, and all the other good stuff. So thank you all again. And as always, ride safe.